I think that's almost in some ways just as dangerous, the Edward Cullenization of romanticism, if you will, where you think that just because you love someone, they have access to some level of awesomeness that is not available to you. All people have access to equal amounts of awesomeness. I'm pretty convinced of that. And our job, both as writers and readers and as human beings, is to try to do a better job of imagining our stories and imagining other people, because the way we imagine other people has profound implications both for us and for them. And that's why I wrote Paper Towns. And, I started Paper Towns before Brotherhood 2.0, but I finished it. I revised the whole. I deleted like 90% of the first draft, like I always do. So I revised it while I was in the process of doing Brotherhood 2.0. And that was something I was thinking about over and over and over again, was the difficulty that we all have of putting ourselves in a meaningful way into someone else's shoes, of imagining what it's like to be someone else, of trying to leave our bodies, whether it's trying to leave our bodies and imagine what it's like to be poor in Bangladesh, which is work that we did together, or what it's like to leave our bodies and imagine what it's like to be Holden Caulfield, which is a totally different kind of thing that we came together to do. So I think this is what all of my work is about, not just Paper Towns, but it's why I make video blogs. It's why I sought out this new meaningful relationship with my brother. It was because I wanted him to see me as more than just a simple set of ideas, and I wanted to see myself that way also. That's all I'm going to say before I take your questions. So, thanks. Yes. Oh, thanks. All the way in the very, very back, the last row. Yes. I was wondering if Margot Roth Spiegelman anagrams said anything important, because I found the letters like Sarah Green is in there somewhere. Oh, really? That surprises me. No, really, I'm not joking. I didn't do that on purpose, but wow, that's interesting. No, Margot Roth Spiegelman's name does not, or at least consciously it doesn't anagram to anything. I'm sure, everything anagrams to something, so I'm sure it anagrams, but if you don't know what anagramming is, by the way, Britney Spears anagrams to Presbyterians. Like, you switch the words around and you spell something out. It does. In fact, can we talk about that for a second? The fact that Britney Spears anagrams to Presbyterians is partly unusual because it's such an unusual spelling of Britney, B-R-I-T-N-E-Y, like no extra T, no A. There's that inexplicable E. And I was thinking for a long, long time, like, maybe Britney Spears' parents, like, did that on purpose. Maybe they picked that particular spelling of Britney so that it would anagram to Presbyterians. And then, like, I wondered about this for years, literally. And then I saw an interview on MTV with Britney Spears' mom, and I was like, no. Probably not. She just doesn't seem like she's into wordplay. Nothing against her. She's got her own thing going. The reason Margot Roth Spiegelman is named Margot Roth Spiegelman is that Spiegelman is a German word that means mirror maker. Like the dude in the German village who wasn't the carpenter or the blacksmith, the guy who made the mirrors, was the Spiegelman. And Margot, and I think in some ways all people, but Margot, particularly in this novel, Margot is a Spiegelman. When the characters in the book look at her, and this is why we did the two different covers, when the characters in the book look at her, they don't see anything essentially true about Margot. What they see is a funhouse mirror version of themselves. This is, there's a lot of windows and mirrors in Paper Towns. And the reason for that is that I'm trying to get at this idea, like, how is it that we stop looking at other people and seeing them as a mirror and start offering people a window into us, and then also hopefully getting a window into them. Yes?
You say she acts as sort of a mirror, but in some cases it's almost like an opposite, because as Q sort of wants to be this, like, rebellious person, and like that's how he sees Margot as a very outgoing person. Right.
Like when he looks at Margot, he sees what he would like to be more than he sees anything essentially true about Margot. That's why I say like a funhouse mirror version of themselves, like some kind of like, that's absolutely right, and that's a great observation, that it's a kind of distorted image of oneself, not the true image of oneself. Was there a question like in the very, very back? I feel bad for people in the very, very back, if they can hear me. Hello? Hello?
Well, how do you feel worse?
I am so loud! I can be so loud! Don't worry. Hello? It's back, I think.
Short girl back here.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah, what's the question?
larger-than-life females.
Real?
Was this a conscious decision to create such a mystery about the opposite sex from yourself?
The question is, all of my characters, all of my books feature female characters who are sort of larger than life. I don't know that that's actually true in Catherine's, but it's certainly true in Alaska and Paper Towns.
The idea of Catherine's is very larger.
Oh yeah, like Catherine's as an idea, yeah, are definitely larger than life, but they aren't really characters in the book, or at least I didn't want them to be. I wanted them to be nothing but ideas, because the idea is that Colin is doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, it is conscious. I'm sorry about this, Mike. It might be my fault. It is conscious in this sense. It is conscious in the sense that when I was writing Paper Towns, I was thinking about the fact that Alaska and Looking for Alaska, by nature of what the story is about, her manic pixie dream girlness, as my friend Nathan Rabin, who works at The Onion, termed it, which I think is a brilliant term, that manic pixie dream girlness never gets shattered entirely because of the nature of the plot and what it's about and what the book is about. When I was writing Margot, I wanted to write a story about a boy who believes, as all boys who are in love with girls do, that the girl he is in love with is the manic pixie dream girl, and then I wanted to destroy that terrible lie by driving a stake into its heart over and over again. So I was in some ways consciously writing against Looking for Alaska, but I was also writing against the 35 million other novels that don't stab a heart in the lie of the manic pixie dream girl. Yes?
So given our tendency to kind of simplify other people in our minds, how do you go about creating characters that are complex enough to kind of undermine that?
That's a great question. How do you go about creating characters that are complex enough to undermine our simplifications of the other? It's an exercise in empathy. I think that empathy is an imperfect tool and a blunt tool, but I think that it's the only tool we have. Like, it's the only way we have into other people is to try to twist around our experiences enough that, and our emotional past enough that we can imagine someone else's pain or someone else's joy, and we can maybe become part of that. So when you're writing, I think first you have to be empathic toward your characters, but you also have to be empathic toward your reader, because you have to be thinking about what your reader would want to read and what they would just find excessively stupid and boring. And the job of a writer, I think, is to simultaneously write an interesting book and a good book. And I think that you have to be imagining your reader at the same time as you're imagining your characters in order to do that. Yes?
Did you attend church regularly as a child? And if I can have two parts, would you call your family waspy?
Oh, that's a good question. Did you attend church as a child, and would you consider your family waspy? We're not anything but waspy, so I guess, yeah. But like, I mean, my parents were like, when I think of waspiness, I think of a kind of conservatism, and my parents were radically liberal, and my dad was the state director of the Nature Conservancy in Florida, and my mom was a community activist, which, I mean, no matter what Sarah Palin says about it, is a good job. And that was their commitment was always to a broader good, you know, when possible, and you know, which is. And I think they raised us with those values. So, I mean, we would certainly never, like, call ourselves waspy, but we were Protestant. I did go to church regularly until I was about 10, and then I started going to church regularly again when I was about 19. So, yeah, my parents don't, though, and Hank is a total heathen.